morning, SB. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well. Thank you very much. So, my name is Asia, and I have my wonderful co host, SB, and this is CapEd Makes a Podcast. So, we have another really cool series today, topics to talk about today. One of them is what we like to just do an update and of our get give numbers. And as of today, we are at 215,800. So I just love the momentum that it's taking off with.
That is so awesome. Definitely increasing day by day, and it should continue because, the funds go to schools. So that just in itself makes it amazing.
Yeah, I love it. And I do love that the word is getting out, that schools are talking about it and members, new members are coming in to open accounts and then delegating where those funds are going to for the school and for the program. So, yeah, I do love seeing that growth because that's just a win-win for both the member and the school.
It is, and it's super duper easy to get the 100 as well as give the $100 to the school of your choice. They just need to sign up for the high yield checking and meet qualifications, which are so simple. 12 debit card transactions posted by the end of the qualification cycle, one ACH or direct deposit, and then e-statements. So realistically, it's stuff that we already do on a regular basis.
Exactly. I love that. It is super easy to get. Also, if they can hop on to our website of capedcu.com/checking, and they can check out more details regarding that. So the other fun thing that I love to talk about that we could use an update on is our Read to Rise program. Um, that one is just a lot of fun. It's encouraging the elementary students to read and log their minutes on our Reader Zone app. Currently, we have over 360 students, which, it could be a little bit better, but of those students, they have read, and this is from December until current, the program does go on until April 1st. And currently they have over 80,000 minutes read in just those couple months. So that's a really, really cool milestone. And they're just continuing. And the school, I really love this year that CapEd was able to increase the reward for the school. In the past, it was, and still currently, the top 5 schools will receive a visit from Edward the Bookworm. We bring our Read to Rise balloon out, inflate it on the school property. The kids get to be a part of that. And also this year, there is a cash award for the top 5 schools. And so if anybody wants to get some more information on that, that's capedcu.com/read. So that one's a really cool program that we have, and it's still going on, so they can hop in and check it out.
That's a lot of minutes read. Like those little kiddos are rock stars. So definitely parents get your kids on that. Have them join and be a part of that fun experience. And who knows, maybe they get to meet Edward. Who doesn't want to meet him? He's so
I
adorable.
know. I mean, kids are reading anyway. Why not just log it and then, help your school get a little bit more of a benefit that they could use?
Yeah. Don't we have another update too on movies?
Yes, our
Trailers?
movie trailer, the 11th annual movie trailer contest. One of the organizers of that contest is Matt Johnson, and he's our creative director here at CapEd. And he is actually with us today. So we're honored. We're honored that he was able to pop in and he can talk a little bit more in the movie trailer. So, Matt, are you there with us today?
Yeah, hi Asia and SB, how are you?
We're doing great.
Great. Yeah, really exciting. The big ceremony, the deadline is passed, as we already mentioned, and the ceremony is right around the corner here in a couple weeks. This year, we had, despite COVID, despite a weird school year, despite everything going on, the students out there in Idaho really came through. We had 35 high school submissions, and 23 middle school submissions. And what's interesting about that is that's pretty much on par with what we've had in the past. So, you know, apparently the kids weren't deterred. They came through with submitting. They were excited about it, and we didn't see a drop at all. In fact, we saw a little bit of an increase.
I love that we have a platform for them to put their talents to use and their creativity, and I haven't seen any of them yet. So I'm super excited. Last year was so much fun. All the years are so much fun. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I haven't even seen a little snippet of any of them yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. So um yeah, those previews, that's going to be great.
Matt, stop withholding the previews. We want to see them.
Okay, well, I have watched all of them, and yeah, this year was did not disappoint. We've got some really creative students out there, some great things, and so this will be, you know, the public can watch the top 10, I should say. They won't be able to see all of them. Because of time and all of that, we do limit our ceremony to the top 10 in middle school and the top 10 in high school, based on the judges ranking. We will be doing the official judging here next week, a week from when this was recorded. And yeah, from there we'll pick we'll have the top 10 in both middle school and high school. And we have a live streaming ceremony, I should say, that we're going to have on, I believe we're going to have it on Facebook and YouTube. We'll have details on our site at capedcu.com/contest as we get closer to the event. The event itself is on Tuesday, March 16th, and we are planning on having that begin at 6 p.m. And it'll probably be about an hour and a half long, just kind of depending on how things go. There'll be some, you know, but we'll be showing the top 10 in each category and announcing the top 3, you know, winners in each category, in each group as well.
And then of course the winners will be announced that evening also.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, part of the ceremony, what we'll do is we'll show the top 10 in the middle school, and then we'll announce the top 3 in the middle school, and then we'll show the top 10 high school, and then we'll announce the top 3 in the high school. One thing we're hoping to do at the end of the event, is actually have a live discussion with some of the judges, where people watching, hopefully students especially, can type questions about our process and get some feedback. So yeah, a little different than what we've done in the past. It's a bummer that we're not, you know, in a theater all together watching them on the big screen, because that really is a fun experience. But it's the best we can do under the circumstances.
Yeah, that theater experience is pretty cool, but I really love that we are able to open it up to more family members that maybe aren't local but still want to support their students. So, I mean, it's a really cool opportunity for everybody, and that's so great that we're going to be able to have like a question and answer afterwards. So that's really cool for the students.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. The question and answer section is going to be awesome because that way they know a little bit more what each judge looked for, and it gives them ideas for next year, and it keeps this program alive and going for years to come.
Yeah, it's so great. It's such a fun program. The kids love it. I love it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, 11 years strong and no signs of, if anything, people seem more and more interested in it. So we have strong, great expectations, I should say, for moving forward with it. So, yeah. So,
Well,
oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll see you online, virtually, on the 16th of March at 6 p.m.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope we can get a lot of people that join for that. So, thank you, Matt, for taking the time to talk about this really awesome program that we have. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So, our next guests are going to be Lisa Hamilton, and she's our business development manager. And she's going to be interviewing a teacher who is our all time most winning grant winner from the Idaho CapEd Foundation. And Lisa really helps organize that. She presents a lot of those grants to the schools, to the winners. So she has been involved with that for many years, and she is just such a fun light. So we love Lisa, but it's super exciting because this teacher, his name is Jared G, and he is from Sugar City, Idaho. So it's really interesting that he is our most winning teacher grant recipient. So we're excited to hear about how it's helped and what he's done with it, and maybe he can give some tips on how to write those grants for the future for those teachers that haven't done it before, or maybe they are a little bit intimidated. But we make the process really easy. So we are going to hear from Lisa and Jared here in just a moment.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear all the tips that he's going to share.
Yeah, it'll be really cool.
Okay, we are recording. So Jared, just to start off with, if you could give us an overview of your education teaching career, just give us a little bit of background about yourself and introduce yourself for us.
Okay, so as I was just telling Matt, I actually grew up and went to the high school that I currently teach at. So I came to Sugar Salem High School as a student, and then I went to college at Utah State University in Logan, best place ever. Sorry if you're a Boise State fan, but that's where I went to school. And then while I was there, about my last year there, my former principal called me up kind of out of the blue, for me anyway, and said, hey, I hear that you're about to be done with your education there, you're about to start your student teaching. And would you like to come back and work for half the year and student teach the first part of the year? Because we need a half of a year teacher spot. And budgets were tight then. It was 2010, so budgets were pretty tight. So then I came back and started teaching, had no guarantee of a job after that first year, but ended up being able to stay, had some good things fall my way and got to stay. And then I've been teaching here for the last 10 years, doing both math and science and a lot of random sorts of classes. I've taught a media production class, and we have a college prep class that has ACT, SAT prep that I've taught, and just kind of a wide mix of things. I kind of fill in all the gaps where I'd have a math and science endorsement, so I fill in a lot of gaps.
Wow, that's an extensive career. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure my audio hadn't dropped. So you went to high school there. That's really cool.
Yeah, the first few years back were a little interesting. Most of my former teachers were still teaching when I started. Most of them have retired since, so it wasn't quite as weird after a few years. But that first couple of years, I had to really transition from calling them Mr. or Miss whatever to whatever their first name was. So that took some adjusting the first couple of years, and I think it took some adjusting for them to deal with me not as the annoying, obnoxious high school student and as someone who was teaching with them.
Well, we should interview a few of them, shouldn't we?
They probably should. I don't know if they have good things or bad things to say. It depends on how much they interact with me as a student and how much as a teacher.
Oh, well, they did a good job because you're an awesome educator. So they should be very proud.
Well, it's worked out at least.
Yeah. So the reason why we wanted to have you on CapEd Makes a Podcast is to, of course, celebrate you as an educator and also acknowledge the fact that you are our 5-time Idaho CapEd Foundation Teacher Grant winner. So you were a winner in 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And I find that very impressive because, just for our listening audience, the grant program is set up where we do not see, or our voting committee does not see, the name of the teacher or the school or the district or the city. And they also are not aware if you've won before. So this is strictly just speaking to the project, which is super cool. And I wanted to read all of your titles of your grants that you have won. So I'll start in 2016, and we have student-led labs for STEM. We have measure the weather inside and out, exploring the world in infrared. I hope I didn't pronounce that incorrectly.
Infrared, but that's all right.
Oh, you know what? It's together. It wasn't separated on the sheet. I apologize. Infrared, exploring the world in infrared, and then blown away by wind tunnel physics. And then the most recent is measure your fitness. So out of all those, and this is digging deep into your memory banks, out of all of those, which one do you remember the most, or what was your favorite one out of all those projects?
Well, there would be two answers to that. The favorite and the one I remember the most aren't the same. The one I remember most is actually to measure the weather inside and out, because the weather station, we bought a weather station to mount on our school. We were doing some things in our physical science classes, and we did some measurement indoors and had a bunch of things we put together with that. But that outdoor weather station has given me more fits than I think any piece of equipment that I've ever touched in my life. It just was a glitchy sort of, I don't know if I just got a bad apple or what, but it worked out okay. We got our project done, but I sure fought with that weather station and technical issues. And so I remember that one the most, standing on the roof of our school in the middle of January, trying to get it functioning again when it's like 10 degrees outside. And so I have not as happy of memories of that. My favorite one has been the infrared, that we got some thermal imaging cameras that you attach into an iPad. And we've just really, we still use those a lot. In fact, we just got done with a separate project using those. And it's so cool for kids and so cool for us to look at things and say, okay, here's what we see with our eyes. You know, this is just one part of the visible spectrum, or one part of the electromagnetic spectrum that we can see. And then we plug this camera in, and suddenly we see a completely different picture of the environment. And that just really opened kids' eyes and opened my eyes for some things. I took it around and played with it in my house to test it out. And we have an older house with some ceiling cable heat. And I'm like, oh, look, there's the ceiling cables. Oh my gosh, I can see them. And just things like that I'm sure logically I knew would work, but I just had never thought of before.
That's amazing. I bet your students really enjoy being inside of your classroom with you bringing all of these activities inside for them.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. So do you think that without the grant funding, that you've received for these amazing projects, do you think you would have been able to complete these projects with your students and bring them to life without the Idaho CapEd Foundation?
Most of them, no. A couple of them, we probably could have fudged things here and there and kind of made them work, but especially the first couple of years I applied for the grant, our school district was still struggling financially. And so my science budget was essentially zero unless I wrote grants. That was actually the reason I decided to start writing grants in the first place, was we just didn't have any budget. I could get some pretty basic materials, and that was it. And so after that first year, and I think the CapEd grant was one of the first ones that I had written completely on my own and had won. And I thought, oh, we could do this, we can make this work and find some options. But certainly most of these projects, we would just be doing a different thing to teach the same concepts, because some of that equipment just isn't in the price range of what we have a budget now, but still isn't in the price range of what our budget would be.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And I know that educators spend hundreds of dollars every year, out of their own pockets.
Yeah.
Probably maybe in the thousands, depending upon, what the course is that you're teaching. But
I hope I haven't gone that to the thousands range, so my wife might get after me, but I definitely put some of my own money into the program every year.
Yeah. Was it, so for those who are listening, the Idaho CapEd Foundation, the final month to apply for this school year is March 1st. And I know that you've applied every year, and it runs September through March. And we award 8 grants up to $750 on each one of those grants. Is it a difficult project, Jared? I mean, is it hard to go in and apply?
Oh, I'll be honest, your grant is the easiest one to apply for of any grant I've applied for. As far as just, you get in, you get the essentials in, and you're done. Most grants I'm writing 5,000 to 10,000 word things. I don't even know what to call it, documents. And it takes a lot more time. With yours, I can kind of put my budget together. Usually when I apply for your grant, I'll put my budget together first. Once I've come up with what the project's going to be, once I've got that budget put together, I write it up, submit it to you guys. It probably takes me a half hour once I've kind of nailed down what I want out of the budget.
That's really good to hear, because we know where your time is important, and that's, you know, in the classroom, working off the curriculum and working on those lessons for the students. So that's really good to hear. And we want to encourage other educators to apply for that grant and also resubmit. If you don't win one month, you can go back in and resubmit, and it forwards on to your administrator and they approve it. Have you ever had to reapply, like months?
I think I've had to reapply on all of them. Maybe one I didn't have to. I think the weather one I didn't have to reapply, but I think all the other ones I've reapplied at least once, and most of them multiple times. I just, you know, I've made small tweaks when I reapply a couple times. Most of the time I just resubmit the same one. If I feel like the project is still good, I just resubmit it and go tell my principal and say, hey, you need to go click the button to approve it.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, for those of you who are listening, you can view Jared's grant applications, the titles, and his wonderful photos holding his certificate. And his expressions are absolutely fantastic. And you can see those at capedfoundation.org and our other CapEd Foundation winners that are listed there. Jared, we really appreciate your time. And I thank you for your applications and all that you do for the students that are in your community. And it's wonderful. Can't thank you enough for all that you do. And these times have got to be, I can't imagine what it's like to be an educator in the classroom this year.
Thank you guys. It really does. It means a lot as teachers to have the grant opportunities out there to be able to say, okay, I have this really cool idea. I know I can't get funding for it within the school district just because the money's not there. And to have the option to go out and have someone say, well, hey, sure, we'll throw some money at you to try and make that work. And it just helps our kids out and helps us out as teachers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, again, thank you. And you enjoy your weekend. And
Will do.
Go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.
For more information on our GetGive program and our commercial lending products and services, please check out our website at capedcu.com. Share accounts are insured by NCUA.